Welcome to the Commonwealth of Learning's podcast series, Sustainability and Growth, Women Leaders Driving Long-Term Success in NGOs. I am Dr. Ann Wallace, and I am your host. The development of civil society and peace in the world are but some of the commitments of the Commonwealth of Learning. In this quest, CALL supports institutions around the globe by helping them to solve local problems with local solutions. In this podcast series, we seek to illustrate to women and girls the importance of service to community by highlighting the sterling work done by female NGO leaders around the world. Our guest today is Ms. Omam Esther from Cameroon. So that you get a sense of the person we are dealing with today, the person we are speaking with, or you're going to hear from, I will read a little of her bio to you. For more than 2 decades, Omam Esther has led transformative work in peace building, human rights, and humanitarian assistance across Cameroon's conflict-affected regions. A bold pioneer, she began frontline work in the Bakassi Peninsula in 2011, promoting women and children's rights and inter-community dialogue in high-risk areas. Esther is the visionary behind the Southwest Northwest Women Task Force and vice president of the Southwest Women for Peace and Development Network, one of the frontline leaders of the Cameroon National Women's Peace Convention. She has championed women's inclusion in peace processes, including the major national dialogue in 2019, and has mediated with separatist leaders to support school resumption. Her activism led to global recognition, including awards from the Global Pluralism Center, UN Women, the Canadian High Commission, and multiple national institutions. As a global board member of the UN Women, Peace and Humanitarian Fund, she continues to amplify grassroots voices, reaching over 1.7 million people through Reach Out Cameroon. Esther is also the first Cameroonian woman peace builder to testify at the UN Security Council on the Anglophone crisis. She remains a symbol of resilience, championing women's leadership, youth engagement, and community-based humanitarian action. Wow. Welcome, Ms. Omam Esther.
Thank you very much, and thank you for hosting me in this platform this day to give visibility to the work which we do and for me to share our daily lived experiences here back in Cameroon.
Thank you. Well, daily lived experience, what a thing. I started counting your awards and your recognitions and your accolades, and I stopped at 20 because there were so many, but there was one that caught my attention particularly, and it's named the Shiro Award on COVID-19. It was given to you by the Women in Global Health Cameroon. Please tell us why you were given that award.
Well, thank you so much. I received the Shiro Award from Women in Global Health Cameroon in recognition of my work during the peak of the COVID-19 crisis, especially in conflict-affected communities which we serve. My team and I focus on reaching vulnerable groups, displaced women, local health workers, religious leaders, and remote communities. With life-saving information, reusable masks, soap, and hand-washing stations. We also included peace and mental health messages in our outreach because they were so much needed, given that we were living in the crisis, with the crisis, and then the COVID-19 crisis also coming on and coming in, sorry, and then people not understanding, especially women and girls, children not understanding what's happening with the daily noise of guns, the sounds of guns, and then now people dying randomly without any possible remedy. It was a time of fear and uncertainty, I tell you, Anne. But we pushed through with hope and action. That award wasn't just for me, I will tell you today. It reflected the strength and resilience of the women and communities I work with.
Okay.
The least I can say about that.
Thank you very much. Well, reach reach out to the people, and you're the executive director of Reach Out Cameroon, and so that name in itself would seem to be self-explicit. When we hear Reach Out Cameroon, we get a sense of what you do. You reach out to help others, but what the name does not tell us is the level of risk involved in the activities that you do. Because I understand that this Reach Out Cameroon was started in the early years of the HIV pandemic, which was a dreadful time for the entire world. And just like working with the COVID-19 pandemic, the problem is getting people to work in those areas, getting caregivers. And I imagine that it must have been quite difficult for you and those with you doing this work. So tell us about this spirit of taking risk in the interest of others that you do in executing your work.
Yes, thank you for that thoughtful prompt. Indeed, I will tell you that as executive director of Richard Cameroon, I often reflect on how the organization's name is both self-explanatory and profoundly symbolic. Reach out.
Yes.
It speaks to a deliberate act, extending a hand, crossing boundaries of fear, is the courage it takes to do so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Richard was born during the early years of the HIV pandemic, a time when fear was high, information was scarce, and stigma was little. Fear wanted to be associated with the disease, let alone serve those affected.
Mm-hmm.
But our founders saw the human face behind the statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers, fathers, children, and entire communities struggling in silence. Choosing to act meant embracing risk of being misunderstood, of being ostracized, and at times of real physical dangers. I will tell you, we saw them all, but we chose action over fear. We chose compassion over caution. This same spirit drove our response during COVID-19, and it continues in our work in conflict-affected areas today. Whether
Wow.
it's treating the sick, whether it's empowering the marginalized, or mediating peace in volatile zones, we constantly step into uncertain and often unsafe environments for those who know where we go. Some of the pictures will be telling you the story more than what I'm saying. Not
Mm-hmm.
because we are reckless, but because we believe humanity's progress depends on bold, selfless actions. There must be someone to take the risk. Risk to us is not an obstacle, I will tell you, Anne. It is a pathway to impact. And our motivation remains simple. People deserve care, dignity, and peace, no matter how hard it is to get when the
Wow.
crisis started, all hibernated. There was no UN, there was no international organizations, nobody there go out. But we were the pioneer to step out, to go in the forest, where our women were using leaves, dry leaves of trees to contain their monthly flow. We had to go there in order to salvage the situation. We had to go there in order to make sure that there are no other disease outbreak that will work negatively to what was already the ordeal which they were going through. And we created inroads for other people to come, like OCHA. Most international organizations pass through our organization to get information, first-hand information, which they needed. And then when things started stabilizing, we started seeing all the NGOs and today everybody, and then it's what it is. Today everybody is involved. So this is to tell you that the name Richard in itself is what it is. Thank you.
Yes. You said so much there. Just hearing you choose action over fear. You recognize that people need dignity and people need help. And you just went for it, not because you're reckless, but because you know that it is needed. I want to pause here and let our audience be made aware that Reach Out Cameroon is a woman-led NGO. Tell us, how do you recruit your staff?
So I'll tell you that with that selling background explain, which you just did now, I would like to highlight that Rachel Cameroon is a women-led NGO committed to fostering inclusion, professionalism, and local empowerment.
Mhm.
Our staff recruitment process is rigorous, merit-based, and aligned with organizational values. It may interest you to know that family members have come to me, friends, and so on, and I will tell them, no, sorry, I'm not the one, I'm not concerned. I've made so many enemies out of that simply because of the rigorous recruitment process which has been put in place. We recruit through transparent, competitive processes. Job opportunities are publicized, advertised on our website, social media platforms, and local notice boards, and even in WhatsApp groups to ensure wide reach. Applications are assessed by a gender balance panel based on clear criteria, competence, alignment with which align with our mission and potential for community impact. Yes. So while we proudly maintain a women-led leadership structure, our workforce is diverse. Both women and men are welcome and empowered to contribute meaningfully. For example, in 2023, we launched a youth internship program targeting university graduates, leading to the recruitment of 5 young professionals, 3 women and 2 men into our humanitarian and peace building unit. In 2024, during the scale up of our agro processing initiative in conflict-affected zone, we prioritize recruiting local women with informal skills, providing them with formal training and contracts. This both empowered community women and strengthened local ownership. Most recently, in 2025, we just recruited for a USAID grant, which we had. And unfortunately, that also, because of the global trend, has been terminated. So through every recruitment phase, Richard Cameroon ensures fairness. We should underscore this word. We ensure fairness, transparency, and deliberate effort to build local capacity. That's why 96% of our staff are usually local nationals, especially we do this for among women, youth, and we do this while thinking, reflecting, and remaining inclusive in our approach.
Okay.
When you
Well,
come to Richard Cameroon, you see diversity.
You see
because of that rigorous
diversity.
process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So really, it seems to be a very rigorous and balanced approach to getting staff. I just wonder, when an organization is registering successes, people want to join. They don't necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes. They just see the success and they want to be a part of it. And I wonder if a young
Mm-hmm.
woman or a girl in Cameroon said to me that she wanted to be a part of Reach Out, what qualifications and attributes, now, particularly qualifications and attributes, must I say to her that she should have to be even considered?
Yes, if a young woman or girl in Cameroon expresses interest in being part of Reach Out, here are the key qualifications and attributes you should tell her to aspire to or which she should possess. One, passion and commitment. Because the communities where we work in are the remotest communities, very inaccessible. So you must have that passion and that commitment, a strong desire to serve vulnerable communities, especially women, youth, and internally displaced persons. Genuine interest in peace building, humanitarian response, health, and human rights. Number two, educational background is important depending on role. At minimum, a high school certificate for entry-level volunteering or community mobilization. For professional roles or internships, degrees or trainings in field like social work, development studies, public health, peace and conflict studies, gender study or communication. Number three, to us, integrity and accountability is very important. We need high ethical, we look out for high ethical standards, honesty and respect of confidentiality, willingness to be accountable, transparent in all tasks. Then number four, communication skills, ability to express oneself, clearly in English, French, and ideally in local languages. We do not want girls, boys who come to us who cannot say the ordinary abacade. They cannot stand the public, because our work entails dealing with people all the time. They must have listening skills and empathy, which are essential to us. Number five, team spirit and leadership potential. Because in Richard, everybody is a potential leader. And usually they begin with volunteerism or internship. And later on, when we see that they are good and they apply and we take them, they start having the junior staff role. And later on, you see, they pass on to managing projects and maybe subsequently heads of departments. So team spirit and leadership potential is important to us. The ability to work in diverse teams and collaborate, with the other colleagues respectfully is very important. They must be able to initiate and they must have the willingness to take up leadership role, as I just explained. And then the sixth is adaptability and resilience. Capacity to work in challenging, crisis-affected or resource-limited environment. Where we work, our pictures can tell you the story. Emotionally mature, able to handle sensitive situation. This is what we look at for. Seven, volunteering example, experience. But at times they don't have, they come and then we guide them, we coach them, mentor them, and they become so powerful that most of our staff, most international organizations now come to reach out to grab our staffs to go with, and we are left with nothing less, nothing else than to begin the cycle all over of recruiting training. Once we train, international organizations come behind, subtly take our staff. This has been happening, but we cannot do otherwise because that's also youth empowerment. Yeah, and then what I would say is that even if there is a girl and she doesn't yet have all the qualifications, motivation, teachability, and consistency, are these are powerful entry points to us. If she could demonstrate that motivation, consistency in what she does, because we value those who are willing to learn and grow with the community, because the community is at the heart, at the center of our actions. And if you come and you think that you are more township than community-led, then your place is not in the reach out. Thank you.
Oh, well, I don't know I'll be able to tell that young girl all of this. She might she might really and truly give some serious thought to it. But what I've heard so much here, and what I like, one many things that I like, but the fact that everybody has the potential to be a leader in Reach Out Cameroon is very important. It's very good to hear. It is clearly a very transformative approach to take towards development of others. And the fact that you're saying that despite all of these rigorous requirements, if an individual doesn't have them, but they come with the motivation and the commitment, and they're prepared to learn, you will work with them. I think there is room for everyone. And that makes me think also that, you mentioned that you foster inclusion. When we hear, as I have said earlier, that this is a woman-led organization, the first thought may be that the focus is on the development of women and girls, but you deal with the youth in general, and you said earlier that you're committed to fostering inclusion. You said that you've employed males, but I want to ask you, what do you do for boys and men?
After my just ended answer, I would say that that's a thoughtful and important question. While our primary focus is on empowering women, girls, and youth, we recognize that sustainable peace and development require the inclusion and transformation of everyone in the society, in our communities where we work in, including boys and men in our programs. Here is what we do for boys and men. What do we do? Positive masculinity programs. We carry on positive masculinity programs. We engage boys and men in workshops and dialogues that promote healthy, respectful gender identity and challenge harmful stereotypes. This helps prevent gender-based violence and encourages men to become allies in gender equality. What do we do for boys and men? Mentorship and life skills training. We offer mentorship and vocational training to young men, especially in conflict-affected areas. We've paid fees for vocational training for young men, so that they can come out and get self-employed or be employed somewhere else, and that they can become good leaders and be constructive, carrying out community engagement programs in return in their communities. What do we do for boys and men? We do mental health and trauma healing as well. It's not just women and girls who need that. They also need that. We recognize that men also experience trauma, especially in conflict zones, even if they don't say. So while we provide safe spaces like the peace houses for women and girls who are survivors of gender-based violence, we look also for safe spaces where men can speak out and then get all the psychosocial support which they need, and healing, and get healing, and then build a type of resilience which we carry them on. They also involve in inclusive peace building, which we do. We have peace clubs in the communities, and we do that not only for the girls, but also for the boys together. And when we go for our peace dialogues in communities or peace mediation work, it is not only with women. When we empower women to become peace champions, it is so that they now will go and speak to their men and to their boys in their communities. We just did that with the peace tables where we had 300 women empowered and create a full form 33 hubs, peace hubs. And these women were going to their communities. You had to be here at the national peace tables to hear their experiences, what they did, how they could transform men in their community, especially like the Muslim men and so on. You see, that is so encouraging. We also do what we call Fathers for Peace. Fathers for Peace, just a motivation to get them engaged and support the actions of women and support the programs which we 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 carry out. And these programs promote responsible fatherhood and the role of men in nurturing peaceful homes in their communities.
Thank you. This is a testament to inclusivity, a testament to what real transformational leadership is all about. I don't think we've got these things in the textbooks. You know, your work personifies the adage that rather than to give a fish, teach a person how to fish. And I say that because I see that you don't just give handouts, you have programs in entrepreneurship, in microfinance, capacity building, you do programs in agricultural activities, and all these are designed to improve the outcome and the circumstances for the communities around you. And these are very deep, very involved programs. The kind of transformational processes you have just described require a lot of training and interventions. How are these programs funded?
I'll begin by saying that I'll begin by expanding the adage, which says that rather than give a man a fish, teach him how to fish. Um, how do we fund our programs? I would say that we focus, first of all, not on handouts, but on building sustainable livelihoods in the community. This should be made clear. So our empowerment programs start from entrepreneurship, economic security, agricultural development, health, human rights, improving community resilience and self-reliance. And to fund these initiatives, we rely on a combination of few strategies. One, which is online campaigns to mobilize individuals and collective support through digital platforms like the Global Giving, tapping into solidarity networks, and we do proposal writing and grant acquisition. Our dedicated team really actively engages in crafting compelling project proposals, and they secure grants from international organizations and development partners committed to peace building, gender equality, and economic empowerment. And you also have the private sector engagement. We try to engage the private sector in respecting the corporate social responsibility policy of their institution. And when we do that, they in turn support us, to carry out our programs. We used to have some few income generating activities before the crisis, but because of relocation and so forth, we lost all those, but income generating activities. Our social entrepreneurial ventures are also a source of income generating activities. So these funding streams, I would say, reflect our commitment to dignified support, building from within, sustaining from the ground up.
Well, this certainly sounds like an NGO to be reckon with. This sounds like an NGO that would make one give serious consideration to being involved with, to emulate. You're in a conflict, an area where there is conflict. And there are many, far too many corners of the world right now embroiled in conflict. And everybody is affected by conflict. Women are affected, even though women invariably did not start the conflict. And I feel that women may be looking on and feeling helpless. If perchance there is a woman in one of those war torn countries listening to us today, what words of motivation would you say to her to assist her to take the bold steps that you have taken to help her people as you help your people?
This is the part which I love most when it comes to my kind. What do I have to say? To you, the woman watching from the shadows of war, you are not alone. Your pain is real. Your silence is loud. And your presence matters more than you know. I too, I have stood in the ruins of what once was home to me, overwhelmed by fear, burdened by loss, and unsure where to begin. But I found strength. They kidnapped my children, they burned their vehicles, they destroyed property, but I found my strength. Not because I had no fear. I was the most fearful woman. But because I chose to act in spite of it. I chose to act in spite of that fear. You have a voice. You is out there. Even if it shakes, you have power. Even if you feel broken, and in your hands lies the ability to turn pain into purpose. Start small, comfort a neighbor, listen to a child, gather women. That's what I did. Each little act builds a path to something greater, like what we are doing today, what I am doing today. You don't need permission to care. You don't need perfection to lead. I never went to big schools. No, you don't need that perfection to lead. You only need to believe that peace begins with you, and every step you take matters. The world may be on fire, but you are a spark of hope, and hope is where change begins. So, what do I say? I'll say, sister, rise. The world is waiting for your courage. You is out there watching. Thank you.
You impress me. You really do. And I like that you said you do not need permission to care. Whew. Listen, your budget is in the billions. In fact, in 2022, it was, and let me get this figure correct, it was 3,640,982,275 francs. Would you say that in addition to a passion for service, like the passion that you have demonstrated just in this interview so far, in addition to the passion, one must have a sound financial literacy in order to run an NGO?
Yes, as has been a part of steady growth from small to where we are today. And I would say absolutely. While passion drives an NGO, financial literacy is essential to sustain it. Managing large budgets like the 3.6 billion you just mentioned, we work with in 2022 in more than 4 regions requires strong financial skills to ensure transparency, to make strategic decisions, and to build donor trust. Is a key part of leadership in the non-profit world.
Okay.
If partners trust us or trusted us to give us that much, it's because they saw how we could manage this small to get to the level where we are for them to entrust us that big.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Well, you've also been known to negotiate between warring factions on numerous fronts. So I would ask that just like financial literacy, is formal training in negotiating skills critical to one who is going to lead an NGO in circumstances such as yours?
Yes, I would say formal and lived experiences go together.
Mhm.
Formal training in negotiation is valuable for leading an NGO, especially in conflict zones, as it helps with securing agreements, building trust, and navigating complex dynamics. The dynamics keep changing every day. You don't know what you'll meet the next day. So you must get those skills and the knowledge to navigate between all these. However, I'll tell you, hands-on experience is equally very important. A
Yes.
mix of training and practical experience alongside skills in leadership and cultural understanding. I would say that formal training in negotiation again is valuable or for leading an NGO, especially in conflict zones, in fragile settings,
Mm.
because it helps with securing agreements, it helps in building trust, and it helps us to navigate uh, complex dynamics. Dynamics in fragile settings keep changing. They change nearly every day. However, I would say that hands-on experience is also equally important as a mix of training and practical experience alongside skills in leadership and cultural understanding is key to managing an NGO effectively in such environment. I'll tell you, I started doing negotiations, mediations when I had not had all the formal trainings and experiences which I have today. But because I understood our local context, but because this was already inborn in me, I was doing it the layman way, the way I could do it. But when I got a little bit of training, it sharpened my understanding on how to carry on these processes at local level. And then it became something which was like a routine to me because I live the cultures every day. I live the local realities every day. I see them happening every day. So I know what's happening. I know when to do what, in which circumstances, in which area. And now I bring now the, the knowledge gathered and skills acquired, you know, I make a blend of this in order to be
Yes. It is as
on
if
and off
the
career.
technology is trying to test us to allow you to demonstrate your indomitable spirit of keeping going. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you for persevering.
that
I like what you said.
that's what I go through.
Mhm. I like what you've said with regard to the fact that formal training, along with the lived experience, it really gives hope to someone wanting to be a part of a movement such as yours, that they don't have to wait to learn everything, but they can learn on the job as well. I am very happy to hear that. Now, I want to ask you, in the 2.5 decades that you've been doing NGO work, what has been your relationship with governmental administrations? What I'm trying to say is, are you seen as a supporting organization to the work of the government, or are you seen as exposing the administration's weaknesses because perhaps you're doing things and achieving successes that the government ought to be doing?
And in my 2.5 decades of NGO work. The relationship with government administrations has been a mix of partnership and advocacy, I should say. While we have always aimed to complement government's efforts, particularly in areas of peace building, humanitarian support, and community development, our roles also involve holding systems accountable. This sometimes means identifying and raising concerns about weaknesses in governance or implementation, particularly when it affects the communities we serve. I remember I have to navigate between communities to central level at capital city, just to carry out to hold advocacy meetings on behalf of those communities, especially where government's policies have little or no impact at all. Yes, recently I would say our organization faced an unfortunate suspension, which has been a significant challenge. However, we remain hopeful and committed to continuing our support of the government's initiatives as we've been doing and have been doing in the past. Despite this setback, we believe that constructive dialogue and collaboration can help resolve the situation. Our mission of promoting peace and development, I will tell you, remains steadfast. And we are eager to resume our work alongside the government to create a stronger, more resilient future for the communities we serve and for our country. When we organized the ever first Women, Peace and Security Fair in Cameroon last year, that was in August or July, August. It was in collaboration with the ministry in charge of the promotion of women and the family and other ministers, other government services like the security sector was there. Ministry of Defense was there. All these people were there. The ministry in charge of decentralization, all of them were there. And they marvel at what they saw. And this has been integrated into national programming. And they are coming up with innovative activities such as Women's Project Fair today and so on, as a result of what we did. So you see the collaboration, I would say, has been there. It's been fruitful. And even though we also have to navigate complex or challenging situations at times, but it is our place, to improve public-private partnerships, civil society partnership, by establishing dialogue platforms, as we did in the past, which is benefiting so many NGOs today, who were not collaborating formally with government, but who are doing so today. So reach out really as the government as a key partner for the implementation of its project, because the policies they have, and we can only complement where we see the gaps. Thank you, over.
Okay, well, this certainly sounds very bright for the future of Cameroon and for Reach Out Cameroon. And I just trust you will, and I expect that you will be able to get the issues resolved. I want to say something. On two occasions when I tried to reach you, you were on the road driving for hundreds of kilometers. Now, you've just mentioned earlier about the kidnapping of your own children. So I want to know, how do you balance this very demanding schedule with your family life? I think our listeners will want to know this. Tell us.
It's not easy. When it comes to this, I would say life is not a bed of roses. But so long as I have my family's support, I keep pushing. Yes. I will tell you, it's a great question. Many people always like to hear from me about this aspect or angle of my life. And I would say balancing and demanding, balancing a a demanding schedule with family life
mhm,
has certainly been very challenging. I will tell you, and it's not easy, especially when traveling long distances for work as I do all the time. I'm always gone. So what do? I try to prioritize quality time when I'm home.
mhm,
I make sure to engage in meaningful conversations and activities with my loved ones.
mhm, mhm,
I also keep communication open with my family, updating them on my travel plans and making the most of the time I do spend with them. I'm always indoors whenever I am around, just like now. I
mhm,
don't I don't visit other people. I'm not the visiting type. I just stay indoors, try to
mhm, mhm,
follow
mhm,
up what's going on. It's all about staying honest, setting boundaries, and having a strong support system to help manage everything
mhm.
effectively. I will throw you the question: how do you usually manage work-life balance in your own busy schedule?
Well,
Because when my
yes.
children got kidnapped, when my children got kidnapped, before I get back to you, when my children got kidnapped, the UN systems, international partners, everybody was worried. When I got my children back, I took them immediately. The next day they were released. 3 days after they were released, I took them out of the region where we are, and I stay with them in a hotel, not knowing what tomorrow we bring, uh, what tomorrow will look like. And my children said, this work is not good. Please just abandon it. And for the sake of my children, I let go. But while I let go, I was dying in me silently. The
Yes.
partners saw, people saw, and they themselves could feel it. They are the ones who came and said, you cannot do without this work. Just go and be doing it, Mama. So you see, um, that's why I have to set boundaries.
Mhm,
That's why I have to prioritize and make sure that they are the center of attraction for me whenever I am around
mhm,
and no one else.
mhm.
And I would like to know about your own experience.
Well, Esther, I think it's very similar. I haven't had the trials, I have to admit, that you've had. I've never had my children kidnapped or taken from me forcefully in any form. So I can't really relate. But what I can say is I also prioritized. I also tried to spend quality time with my children. I used to take them to work because I worked a lot and I worked overtime. So I would take them with me and they would do their homework in my office while I was working. And then we will come home together and have dinner. So, yes, you have to prioritize quality time with your children. And then it forces you to set the boundaries that unfortunately or fortunately exclude others because so much time is taken up with work and the little that's left you've got to spend on children. Luckily for me at this stage in my life, I'm retired, but I have lovely grandchildren and I prioritize time with them as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right. I have two beautiful grandchildren, and I had three children, and two of them have been kidnapped. Were kidnapped, sorry, and
Mhm.
they are grown-ups, and they can understand better. But my grandchildren, they need me more most
Yes.
often when I'm around. So when
Yes.
I'm around, I go visit them, and we play together, and then they don't want to let me go. So that's
Yeah.
uh, that's the,
That's
the routine. So we
that's
have
good.
to do what we call balance. So I have to do what we call balancing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, that's very good. And
Uh,
I'm sure all the ladies listening to us today will be happy to hear how you make the two work because we have to play the cards we have. And as you said, when you decided to pull away, your calling was still there. You needed to do this. So it is very good that you're able to explain, and you caused me to explain too how we do it, how we set boundaries. Madam Esther, you have given yeoman service to your country in areas of health, human rights, economic security, political negotiation, development of women and girls, positive masculinity training for boys. I just love the sound of that. Are there any new frontiers for you?
Oh, sure there will be. I will put it this way, as I look to the future, my path leads towards new frontiers. You have climate security, you have green entrepreneurship for women in conflict zones, and today you have digital peace building. I myself am trying to learn so that I'll be able to pass on to others. And dignity for me. I am committed to nurturing a new generation of peace builders. I had nurtured in the past a new generation of women leaders, but today I'm committed to nurturing a new generation of women peace builders. I have done that, I know, but I need to do more. Many today are scholars. I have those who sit at the Senate. Some are mayors. Some are councillors in some councils. But that's not all. We need many, especially young women, so that the legacy and hope of transformation endures beyond my time. That's the least I would say. Thank you.
Least. Wow. Well, I dare say that we talk about lifelong learning, but what you seem to be exhibiting is lifelong giving, lifelong helping, lifelong developing. Esther, you are truly a phenomenal woman. And we are really lucky to have had you on this program to hear how a female humanitarian runs a really and truly challenging NGO. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is shared. And I will say thank you again once more for giving me the opportunity to speak out. I always look for such avenues where I know I can give a little of me so that others also could learn and emulate what I'm doing and better do it where not, wherever they find themselves, so that we build strong and sustainable communities.
Listeners, we've been speaking with Ms. Omam Esther, a female NGO leader with an incredible pioneering spirit and love for her people, for giving, for helping, for sharing. It has been a pleasure. And I thank you for listening. Tune in again when we speak with another dynamic female NGO leader.